You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
You ever hear of test driving a phone network? Well, US Cellular is letting you test drive their nationwide 5G for free. Try out US Cellular wherever you have spotty service, your commute to work, that one spot in your house where your service dips. It's as easy as doing a little beep boop pop boop pop with your phone. That's the buttons, that's the noise they make. Anyways, test drive US Cellular's nationwide 5G coverage for free for 30 days. Just download the Try Us app. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com/try us.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Jacob in Wisconsin. This may hit the pod. It may not. If you're hearing it right now, you're saying, okay, it hit the pod. We'll just see how good the content is because we're going to do something new here. And we've been talking about it for a few days. We're going to live stream during the training camp practice and bring you guys in real time some of the stuff we're hearing, okay? And on top of that, we'll kind of – what I want this to be geared around, Jacob, is us really keying in on the chat. So if you see anything in the chat that's like, that's a good question, a good comment, just mark it for me, and we'll make this just one big conversation. As I know everyone's excited that Jordan Love is back at practice today. So before we do that, though, pretty cool. Jen Wright, who was on the morning show with us today earlier in the chat hanging out, said just got to slap hands with Jaden Reed. It is packed, no pun intended. So it sounds like that place is buzzing, Jacob.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. It's a beautiful day there, and everybody's ready to go. I'm wondering, ready to get some, hopefully some highlights coming in here soon.
Exactly. So what we're going to do, guys, I'm going to have my Twitter on hand here. And again, we're going to make this about the chat mostly. So let's just sit in here and talk Packers, talk training camp in the chat. Jacob, again, you monitor that. And then as we go along, what I'm going to do is share my Twitter, feed, I guess you could say, when we get stuff that does come across the pocket. Now, I know Big B posted something earlier. Let me go and find him real quick if I can find it. I know he had posted that Jordan Love came out and actually, Matt LaFleur was asked how much is he going to participate. And essentially what he said was he's pretty much going to do everything, right? So there's no ramp up or what have you. I got an audio for that here in a second that we'll play too, which is kind of cool. But let's see if we can get this up on the screen for you right here. You can see that, right, Jake?
I can see that, yep.
All right, I apologize if there's language. Hopefully there isn't. I don't know whose grandpa that is in the front running, but, hey, my man, get him a contract. Look at that cat there in the front. Got a nice stash, too.
He can pull. He can block. He can block.
I can't tell if it's Sam Elliott or Chris Henry that used to play for the Titans, man. Look at that foot right there. Here we go.
All right, Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Jordan. Yeah, Jordan. Yeah, Jordan.
Love it. Love it. Obviously, Big B was the one who posted that. So Jordan Love is in the house. Now I'm going to share a video real quick from my Twitter page. I wanted to get these uploaded, but I did not have time. Go ahead and drop that down for just a second. Matt LaFleur at the podium as well as Brian Gutekunst. This one, since we're talking about Jordan Love, this is really cool here. He was asked about a ramp-up period. Are you guys going to utilize a ramp-up period for Jordan Love? Now, understand if you are listening to this on the podcast, there's nothing I can do about the volume. I didn't have time to download the video, amp it up. For whatever reason, it's hard to hear everyone who's talking on the mic up there. I'll tell you what he says if you can't hear it. But here was Matt LaFleur asked about a ramp-up period for Jordan Love. You know, we talked about it last night and on the morning show. He is going to be in pads and everything, but are they going to try to ramp him up? Listen to what Coach says.
I mean, he's been ramping up. It's just you guys haven't seen it.
So we just behind the scenes kind of to keep him so he's ready to roll here.
Yeah, he's been throwing every day after practice, and he's had guys catching for him, and he's been doing a good job with that.
So obviously took a little dig at the media there and said he has been ramping up. You guys just haven't seen it. So what's been going on there is he's been throwing after practice. I like that little side eye right there too. Look at that, Jacob, from the coach there. Look at the little side eye.
Oh, we got to clip that for a meme. That's a meme worthy one right there.
There's a meme waiting. As a matter of fact, I might be able to do it right now.
Right
Let me
there.
see if we can.
It'll say something to the point of when Emilio says he has no more cannolis.
Yes.
That's the
Perfect.
face right there.
Absolutely beautiful. So pretty cool, man, that he's already been throwing. Is there anything that Jordan Love didn't do absolutely perfect in this situation, Jacob? I mean, he handled this so well, dude.
Yeah. And he was able to get engaged in the midst of all of it. Like he didn't let anything. It honestly is like a testament to his character when you talk
Yeah.
about how he's kind of even keeled and cool and doesn't let things affect him. He had, that's maybe two or three of the, well, obviously two of the biggest moments in his life, signing his big major contract and getting engaged to obviously what's the love of his life. So, and he just kind of didn't seem like anything was affecting him. If anything, he just seemed like he knew that it would get done. And so I think you need that in a quarterback.
Yeah, definitely. And United Bates in the chat said, I like Matt LaFleur's comments about Love. Quote, you just haven't seen it. You love to hear it, man, for sure. All right, let's move on to some of Brian Gutekunst's comments here. Again, I apologize for the volume. You can see we've got it cranked up. Goody was asked here, or at least he talked about how uncomfortable Jordan Love was during this whole hold-in process. Let's see what Brian Gutekunst had to say.
It's probably a great question for him. We talked every day, but I could, I did feel so there was an uncomfortable part of him that really wanted to be out there and be with his teammates. You know what I mean? There's, and he's always kind of been that way. Even when he was, sitting behind Aaron, I think he always wanted to be at that. The guy loves to be out there. He loves football. He loves being with his teammates. So yeah, this wasn't easy for him. I think he very much believed it was the right thing to do for him and his family, and I respect that greatly. But this wasn't easy for him.
I love that he acknowledged that, and everybody kind of knew it too, right? Like you could tell that Jordan wanted to be out there. I guarantee you, his representatives, Jacob, they were like, "Why don't you just stay away, man? You'll get you'll get more money if you stay away." But it's obviously, dude just signed the most guaranteed money per year from any player in NFL history, right? And I know that I don't get anyway. It is what it is. Is the highest signing bonus and the highest guaranteed money based off a 4-year contract. So he is the highest paid player in NFL history, essentially. So if you remove Deshaun Watson, which we all know that's make believe fairy tale land there, and he still wanted to be out there. He wanted to be out there, and I love how he talked about how he was just so uncomfortable. You could tell that Jordan was uncomfortable because he wanted to be out there with his guys. Man, just again another testament to the quarterback, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. And I just sent you over a screenshot of a photo that Paul Brettel just shared of him actually running out. He's got the jersey on, he's got the pads on, and I tell you what, man, it's beautiful to see. So maybe if I see other stuff, I'll shoot you over DMs and we can maybe pull it up if it's worthy enough.
It sounds good, yeah.
Man, God, that just gets me like it. Literally, my hair stood up when I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, he's back out, he's running." And how cool is that too? That even while this was all going on, Matt LaFleur, I think that maybe that's a testament again of Jordan Love's like loyalty and I guess just leadership, that even though this stuff's going on, the media is trying to make, a mountain out of this molehill. He decides he's going to stay after and throw passes. We didn't know that. Like we didn't know that there was actually still an actual communication between the front office and Jordan's team. So it's just really cool. They did. I think honestly, both sides handled this about as well as you could have.
Yeah, definitely. Here's the picture that Jacob sent over from Paul Brettel. Day 5 of training camp. Jordan Love is practicing, and the pads are on, and you love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. Looks like it's Josh Jacobs alongside him. I believe they're in the front. And you got Elton Jenkins right behind him in the back.
Oh, yeah.
I wish they could make that jersey a little redder for Jordan. I will say that.
Yeah, right.
That's the only thing. So let's see. Feel free to read those as they come in, Jake, if you want to read the comments.
CJN just says, let's go. Just almond pads too, Jacob. This team is for real. I agree. It is for real.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Also, good morning to you as well.
All right. So this was a clip where Brian Gutekunst was asked about the challenges of building a team around a large contract. Now, obviously, if there was no salary cap, none of us would care how much these players are making, right? You see fans get a little bit kind of because it's going to affect the salary cap. It's going to affect the amount of players or depth they can add to the team. We covered it a little bit earlier, but I'm going to play Brian Gutekunst's response here to that question earlier. And then we'll kind of talk about what we hit on earlier about modeling out a roster, right? Here we go.
Financially, as far as the cap goes, is there a challenge here when we have that gigantic of a contract of building a team around him?
Yeah, I think there always is whenever you have these big contracts, there's some challenges that we've dealt with that pretty much, for the past, I don't know however many years. So That's part of it, but I would rather be dealing with this challenge than some others, so, that'll be part of it. It'll be important that we continue to draft well and make good decisions along the way. But, having that position stable and a guy who we know can perform at a high level, I'll take that every day.
All right. So, him talking about you would take that problem over any other problem every day, Jacob. What he's talking about is like the only other alternative is to not have a good quarterback. Like, if you're asked, hey, what are the challenges around building a roster, or what are the challenges when it comes to building a roster around a huge quarterback contract like that? He said, I take that over the alternative. The alternative meaning we don't have a quarterback. I mean, you have no shot if you don't have a legit quarterback. And when I say legit, I'm meaning starting caliber quarterback. I appreciate. Hey, you're not the first one to say that.
Dude, you're wearing the same shirt. Yeah.
I think it's the forehead wrinkles is what it is, man.
Awesome.
Goody got his making millions of dollars, right? I got mine not making millions of dollars. But anyway, so yeah, that was the whole thing with Aaron and his contract situation. There were some fans that were really quick to push him out and be like, yeah, but you can't operate with that kind of quarterback cap hit, right? Well, you've seen last year we had $41 million against the cap from Aaron's contract that was already prorated. And then you had Jordan on a $12 million cap hit, if I remember correctly, or somewhere about.
Yeah.
Right. And with some voidable years. That comes out to about $50 million per year. Well, lo and behold, the very first year that Aaron's gone, like after you get past that full season, we're right back to paying the quarterback top money, right? And that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a necessary evil, right? If you don't have a good quarterback, when I say good quarterback, I mean starting caliber. And I kind of see Jordan as he's definitely a top 10 quarterback. Now, any given year, he may play at the very top of the number one quarterback level. He may be somewhere around 8. As long as he's in the top 10, the Packers are going to have a chance to win a Super Bowl. I really believe that. So what do you think about that? What Goody said there about the challenges of building? I mean, am I missing something? Because there's some people that's like, they're already upset that they're having to pay a quarterback top money. That's the goal, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I've tried to stay off of any sort of social media where people are talking negative, because I just find that I don't understand that logic. And I guarantee they were the same type of fan that was upset that we hadn't gotten the deal done. And then once the deal gets done, it's just, I just feel like, again, some people just like to find something negative to comment about no matter what. So I personally think, like you just said it kind of perfectly, it's a necessary evil. Would you rather not have, or would you rather be overpaying for, imagine that Russell Wilson contract, if that was the kind of situation you're getting yourself into. So at least I appreciate the carefulness and the precaution that the front office has kind of built into this contract. We talked about it earlier today that I plan on having Jordan Love here for hopefully another extended contract after this, but God forbid something happens and the play completely skyrockets plummets to the earth and burns in a fiery crash. Then we have an escape route within a few years that doesn't completely, like we just talked about, tank the whole team with a bunch of dead money. So I'm excited. And I think, again, Goot, if we could throw in the little sunglasses in the joint emoji, he'd be Gangster Goot strikes again.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Man, there's a really cool image that the Packers tweeted out. Man, their social media team has been cranking up. This is really cool. I don't know if I can get it in here or not. Let me see if I can. Sometimes it gets a little wonky in just downloading images. But this was tweeted out. It looks like it went through. This was tweeted out by the Packers social media team. Check this out, Jacob. This is really sweet. So all the different tweets of people saying, can you please pay Jordan Love? And they literally put them all on the screen grab.
That's pretty cool.
That is awesome, man.
I like that.
They've been doing a great job here lately.
You might find one of mine in there somewhere if I look.
No, yours didn't make it because it had an F-bomb, Jake.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool though, man, that they did it. They're getting better, guys. They're working on it, right?
Yeah, that's super cool. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, no doubt. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. This question here with Goody earlier said, Green Bay Packers general manager Brian Gutekunst talks about how Jordan Love fits the culture model of the organization. How cool is this? This presser happened after we went live earlier, and everything we talked about, building a roster around a big contract, the model, right? Now we're talking about the culture model and how Jordan Love really, we hit on all this morning. Goody was asked about it today. Let's see what he had to say about how Jordan fits the culture of the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I mean, there's no absolutes in this business, as you guys know, and but certainly he was a very gifted player. As we got to know him in the pre-draft process, who he was fit what we wanted here. From a culture perspective, we thought he had really there was nothing he couldn't do that we were going to ask of our quarterback. We knew he needed some time, and he needed to develop, and he needed to play. And I think once when you really get to know these guys is when you get them in your building, you get them in your process, and you get to see how they work and how they kind of endear themselves to their teammates, how important it is to them. And certainly since he's been here, he's checked all those boxes, and I think as we moved along and he progressed and we realized that, he was going to be the next guy. And then seeing how he handled that this past year, becoming the guy, handling that pressure, coming out the other side of it, just gave us a lot of confidence. I think that, this is a guy that's going to lead us into the future. And I'm really excited about that.
Man, think of the pressure that was on Jordan Love last year, Jake. That's pretty wild to think about. Like, that dude, he chose to take a much smaller contract to kind of prove it, right? Say, hey, look, I'm going to prove my worth here with the organization. What did he do? He just went out and balled out in the second half of the season like the best quarterback in the league, arguably, right? Definitely top three. Says a lot about his mental toughness, right?
Yeah, we talked about it, mental fortitude, just the fact that he just seems like a natural growing leader and that he seems unfazed and unrattled when he does get rattled. He doesn't show it. And what's funny is CJN actually has a comment that the Bears fans are making jokes while they have zero clue about what a real quarterback is. It's just so funny that he mentions that because our own Ryan Schlipp just reposted Sean Hammond, who's covering apparently the Bears training camp. And he says back-to-back interceptions for Bears quarterback Caleb Williams during 7-on-7. Adrian Colbert and Rowdy Stewart picked off Williams. Both throws were over the middle of the field. So it's going pretty sweet in Chicago.
Chicago land.
Yeah, Bears.
Yeah. So shout out to Marcus Eversole. If you guys don't listen to his podcast, that's another great podcast. We're like spoiled as Packer fans, man. Some people think there's just 2 or 3 that you can listen to. There's a bunch out there. You just got to dig a little bit, and you'd be surprised. The ones who have less followers bring you deeper content as opposed to the people who are constantly offended with everything in society today. But Marcus Eversole used to be, I think, a producer on the local station there. He probably still does have his show on the local station there in Green Bay. And he's got a podcast, which is probably stemmed off of that, called Better Call Eversole. Really good show. But he obviously got a great shot of Jordan Love going in here into practice. But yeah, you're spot on with the whole, listen, what I think of, Jake, when I see these people that are other fans going, yeah, I'm glad they signed them. I think of that. You ever seen the meme where it's a guy crying, but they've got the face over top of him and it's him smiling like he's trying to act like he's happy about it? That's exactly what I think of, man, when it comes to Bears fans and people like that hating. So for sure. All right, let's keep hitting the chat, man. I see you got some, Mark. Just feel free to pull them up. I'll see if we can find some other good stuff here on Twitter.
Yep, no problem. Let's see. Bates agrees. I was thinking this was kind of funny. I remember they were so bad at one point, the Packers social media. He says Packers social media team has been a lot better. Thankfully, we were a bit behind the curve there for a minute. And I do agree because it was, man, I've been doing social media stuff with Ryan and at least helping him since like 2016, 2017. And it was really bad back then. Like it was so painfully bad. But I agree. Lately, they've been kind of knocking it out of the park, I think.
Yeah. I see the video you sent over. So obviously this is Rob Domofsky tweeted out, welcome to practice number 5 or number 1 with Jordan Love and number 1 with pads. So really cool stuff here. Appreciate you sending that over. We'll just kind of let that loop as we hit the chat a little bit more. Let's see what else we got.
That's so awesome. Ron was just talking about how next year we shouldn't have 50 million dead cap as well. So imagine just,
bingo.
I mean, we're starting to get into, like I said, that's a Super Bowl sweet spot where if we literally are like 1 or 2 players away from really having this team cranking on all cylinders, that now all of a sudden we roll over some of that money. I mean, we're sitting pretty, like real.
Yeah.
Pretty.
And if you kind of go off a precedent, Ron, that's a great point. If you go off a precedent just a touch, not only will we not have the $41 million in dead cap, right? But also, if everything goes as these other contracts did, there's the main question is there voidable years? if they tacked on a couple voidable years, and I know people go, oh no, we're kicking the can. Did the can ever catch us? Please, someone explain to me. Did the can ever catch us? It never did, right? And that's what we've talked about since day one I started the pod. Don't believe the doom and gloomers. For whatever reason, there's a certain portion of fan bases that want to see $50 million in cap space. Hey, go be a New England Patriot fan. Now, brace yourself on Sunday when the ball gets kicked off. But I'm just telling you, it's never going to be an issue as long as you stay out in front of it. So if you did tack on voidable years, I believe it was – I need to pull the contract up to make sure. But I believe it was Joe Burrow or Trevor Lawrence that –
You ever hear of test driving a phone network? Well, US Cellular is letting you test drive their nationwide 5G for free. Try out US Cellular wherever you have spotty service, your commute to work, that one spot in your house where your service dips. It's as easy as doing a little beep boop pop boop pop with your phone. That's the buttons. That's the noise they make. Anyways, test drive US Cellular's nationwide 5G coverage for free for 30 days. Just download the Try Us app. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com/try us.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
like in 2029 or something, Jacob, they've got $14 million allocated against the cap as a voidable year. That's how you really free up money to work in the present. And that's what Goody was talking about, being able to get the guaranteed money to a certain point to keep the average annual down. That way you can manage the cap and put a good team around Jordan Love, right? That's the overall goal. So does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I'm going to pull up the Trevor Lawrence contract here real quick if it'll let me, and we will kind of see exactly how that falls. Actually, I think I had the player ranked.
And so Turtles makes a good point, too, that people forget that we paid Rodgers quite a bit of money off of not much as far as, showing that he's going to be a 4-time MVP, Super Bowl winning quarterback. You know what I mean? So that is a good point.
Yeah.
So Turtles.
Definitely. Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, it was Trevor Lawrence that it was like that. Let me get this pulled up on the screen here real quick. And I'll tell you, I know it may not seem too professional on your all's end, but this is actually flowing a little easier than I had expected.
Yeah.
When you go live like this, man, it's tough. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, number one Packer fan Quick says that people need to understand you have to take a chance at some point. You can't pay everyone cheap and expect to retain good players and win a championship. That's a good point.
If you want to ship, man, it's going to take money. Right? Going to take money. So there you see the cap hit. This is Trevor Lawrence's contract. Look down here. So you've gotten 2031. I may not be alive in 2031. It was great knowing you. You know what I'm saying? But look at the $14 million proration of the option bonus. Now, I'm not saying they did Jordan's like that. That's an option. No pun intended. That they could do it that way. So 14 million, and then in 2032, 7 million. Now, by the time you get to that point, he's either playing really well or you're cutting ties with him. If you're cutting ties with him, look at the money you're freeing up. Because when you look at the cap hit, $74.8 million cap hit in 2030 for Trevor Lawrence. But with the dead cap attached, which should be the next number, I believe, if they've got it up there, there is no dead cap number. So what you're going to see is the acceleration of that 21 million. So you would basically go from 74.8 million. You would free up $53 million in cap room by moving on from him. Now, let's say he's still playing decent. Then you sign him to a 2 or 3 year extension, and all that's absorbed, just like we did with Jordan's on a much more minute level. I know it's kind of an oxymoron there, a more minute level, but it's this current year, those voidable years just got absorbed into the new extension, and you kind of spread it out. And again, it's cash over cap. So I just wanted to point that out, that there's a possibility that could occur, but don't be scared of the voidable years. And again, Gutekunst as well as Russ Ball, they have a model in place. You can tell they have a model in place because every time that they put a new roster together, it's built the same way. We didn't pay Tay Adams, right? And I know many people, myself included, was like, come on, man, how can we not keep him here with Rodgers, right? And like that, they were one of the best offenses in the league. I think we'd all agree we didn't lose because of the offense. We lost because we had a punt block return for a touchdown, right? That's how we lost the NFC Championship game. But when you kind of look at it and put it in that perspective, Goody's following the same model, him and Russ Ball, that they've followed all along, right? They're not paying crazy money to wide receivers. They paid Tay once, but they were really, really, really apprehensive to do it the third time, although he called their bluff. They offered a contract and he said, no, I'm going to the Raiders. But you can see the blueprint that's in place. And it involves defensive tackle. It involves great edge rusher. Look at our edge room, Jacob. That's where they've spent their money, right? That's the blueprint, is get really good edge defenders to get after the quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I just sent you over a cool one from Wes Hodkiewicz if you want to pull that up at some point. It's nice. Man, it makes me so happy.
You go right ahead, man. Keep on hitting the chat, and I'll see if I can get it pulled up.
Yeah, Ben Holden was just talking about how great Love was in that little stretch there. Specifically, I believe he's talking, the Dallas playoff game. He was a QBR rating of 99, highest ever. That's insane. So, I mean, we did see flashes of absolute, greatness, not just good. I think that the fact that this guy's now, at least for the time being, going to be the highest quarterback paid in the NFL, he deserved that after that stint that he put on there. It was crazy.
Definitely. So you seeing the handshakes from Love. They said he did that every day too, Jacob, when he wasn't practicing. Yeah.
Well, that's what Wes says in his caption. He says, Jordan Love having a handshake for undrafted rookie Jarvion Howard tells you pretty much everything you need to know about his leadership. And that's true, man. He doesn't have to sit and, you know what I mean? He's in his head is probably like, yo, you ain't going to make this team. I'll learn your handshake though. That's, it really does. It makes, it is a testament to how much of a leader this guy knows. What was one of the things about in that book that he learns everybody's name. You learn everybody's, what they do in the organization from the top to the bottom down. He's taken that seriously.
And where did Jordan learn it from? Aaron. Where did Aaron learn it from? Brett. They said Brett knew the custodians' names in the building. He took that really serious. So it's a culture thing, man. I'm with you. When you said, man, this is really cool to see, and you had a little giggle in your voice. I know what you mean, man. I got the same feeling. It's like, how damn blessed are we to be Packer fans, man?
Right.
It's freaking awesome.
Cool. And what's cool too is you see how fast Jacobs has kind of blended in the offense as well. That was seamless between him and X. That's crazy too. We don't give them enough credit that they just took two complete leaders off of their team, melded them into our team, and nobody has an ego. Nobody's talking like, I need this. I'm not a captain. Everybody's going to let that sort out, as it may. So it's just perfect coaching and perfect GM. And
yeah, it really is, man. It's all about culture.
Yeah.
And again, you can't build culture on Madden. You know what I'm saying? Check this out, Jake. This is pretty cool stuff here. We got the first snap. Super Bowl.
Touchdown. Yep.
Pretty cool. That was from Paul Bretto. Paul, he's done a phenomenal job, man. If you're hearing my voice right now, whether you're on X or YouTube or Rumble, go give Paul a follow, man. I'm telling you, that dude, it is straight to the point. The articles are unbelievable. I'm going to reach out to him here soon and see if he wants to do another season with us where he would come on once a week and just kind of give us some insider info, that type of thing. If he says no, we will not be offended because Paul, his career is really starting to take off. I absolutely love it. Couldn't happen to a better person. So that's another good point there too, Jacob. Look at this one. Ben Holden said, can't wait to see Manning's documentary. I forgot all about it already. That's going to be phenomenal, dude.
Was there any timeline on that as to when it was in production or going to be done or released?
That's what I don't understand about some of these things, man, because it's like it'll get mentioned and then it's out. It's like, y'all been working on that for 3 years. Why didn't you go? I'm like, what are we doing?
Right.
It is what it is. But yeah, so you see Jordan there taking a snap under center back at practice. Can't tell, is that Sean Clifford or Michael Pratt next to him over there? Not that anybody cares, but
it looks like Cliff.
Yeah, that's Cliff, ain't it?
Yeah.
And again, I know Sean Clifford's taking a lot of slander. I'm telling you, man, don't be surprised if Jordan throws some picks today. It's something that happens every training camp, every time, because they're really pushing the envelope, right? So, all right. Did you send me something else? I got a message, but I may be getting blown up by somebody else.
No, yeah, that's me probably. It's just another one from Wes. There's starting to come out quite a few clips. Rob Demoski's got one if you want to, or quite a few. It looks like Wes is starting to share a bunch. They're really getting into some routes. We got one that's going out to Romeo Dobbs. It's just, man, I feel like a little kid at Christmas right now.
It's awesome, man.
It's just fun. It's so fun.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Chris has some nice words for us, which is thank you, Chris. Says, I learned more listening to you guys than anyone else. Keep up the good work. Go Pack, go. Thank
Love
you.
it, man. Hey, we appreciate that, man. And we're all learning together, dude. That's what it's all about. And I know people roll their eyes when I say I'm being serious. I've learned more from our listeners than any other year that I've really kept up with the Packers and watched the Packers and everything. Just because you get in your own tunnel, you get in your own, like, you know what I mean, Jacob? You get like this tunnel vision. You think you're right on everything, and this is the only thing that's important. And when you've got a multitude of people in the live chat, you got people on Twitter. Once you get the knuckleheads blocked on Twitter, the ones who just want to argue, like you're constantly getting different perspectives. No one's ever learned a damn thing by trying to listen to people they completely agree with in their own little echo chambers. It's when you get outside of that and someone else gives their perspective, that's how you truly grow and learn.
Another great quote from that book that stuck in my head was, if everybody's thinking the same, then nobody's thinking. So I feel like that as a Packer group, that kind of is a great way of looking at, learning. Like, I thought I knew a lot about football, and then I met Clayton and I was like, oh crap. And then I met Tim and Emilio, and I was like, yeah, I don't know anything. So I better start taking notes. So it's just fun. Super, super fun to learn now.
You see, my knowledge of football used to be, and when I say used to, I'm talking about like back in 07-ish, somewhere around there. People would go, man, you know every player on the roster, you know every number. That was like I'm a football fan. And then I started listening to Pat Kerwin on Sirius NFL Radio, and I had the John Madden moment. And I'm no way, shape, or form trying to compare myself to the great John Madden. I mean, please don't take that the wrong way. I wish I hadn't even said it now. But John Madden talked about when he got into coaching, he went to a Vince Lombardi seminar. And he said, I sat in the back row, like I'm at church, like I got everything all figured out. It's Vince Lombardi up there spilling his guts. He said he coached on the one play, the Packers sweep, he said, for over an hour. One play, an hour, or multiple hours, I think is actually what he said. And he said, I came out of that seminar and went, I don't know a damn thing. I'm a phony. That's how I felt listening to Pat Kerwin and Tim Ryan talk football. I'm like, I need to dig into this a little deeper. So I've got so much more to learn, obviously, you could tell, but it's been a fun process, man. And again, you got to surround yourself with people who are passionate about really, truly understanding what happened, why did it happen, as opposed to just, I want to be right all the time. You want to repel people out of your life. Say, I told you so. I told you so. This is what I said. I told you. And watch the people disappear out of your life. You'll find yourself sitting around on the couch and you're looking at, where the hell's everybody at? Where'd they go? I'm telling you, self-edification is people repellent. And that's one thing that most sports media do not understand is like, we don't care if you're right. We just want your honest opinion and be humble enough to talk about what's actually happening on the field, not what you need to talk about to try to prove the article that you invested 6 hours into writing. And that's what I love about Paul Brettel is Paul Brettel just hits on the facts, and he tries to keep his personal emotions as a fan out of the whole equation. But really cool clip here that you sent me, Jacob. I like this one a lot, man. That's a shot to Romeo Doubs on the out route. Look at this. Right on. Let's go.
Dude, that's just so perfect placement. I just love this team so much. Yeah. And I'm excited for Dobbs more than anybody, I think. Yeah. Maybe in that he's just so underrated. He's such a great receiver.
Look at his hands, man. Watch his hands. He's got the strongest hands, dude. Look at that.
Remember when they talked about how Devontae had late hands, how he was really good at not telegraphing when the ball was coming, and he could just turn around, whoop, snack it out there. He seems like that.
That's a great call, Jay, because that's exactly what you see here. I didn't even think of the late hand. Here's a perfect example of me not noticing that. Look where his hands are at. Last second, snatch it, bang.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you talk about somebody who's got a fire lit under him too. And you guys heard me talk about the receiver room a little earlier in the year, or earlier in the offseason, I should say. And one of the things I said was go to Dobbs and Watson. They're going to be up for a contract. What is it? We got them under contract for next year. Go to them both early with a little guaranteed money and try to get that well below market. Now, I don't be surprised if they say no, right? I think we would all agree that's probably what they're going to say. But if you go to them this year and say, listen, how about we sign you to an extension for, let's say 3 years, $30 million with $15 million guaranteed. Think about that. If one of those two receivers says, yeah, I'll take that deal, then you're going to get them at an average of somewhere around $10 million per year. Now, why would they accept it? Because they're under pretty much a minimum contract, not a minimum, a smaller rookie contract, especially Romeo Doubs next year. So you can get some guaranteed money in his pocket. That way he doesn't feel as nervous about getting injured, that type of thing. You get way out in front of it. And the fact that you're doing it in advance, you can move that cap number around way more fluidly. Now, if you go to both him and Christian Watson and you offer that kind of deal early and one declines it and the other accepts, that answers your question for me. You know what I mean? Like that. Now you know that dude's going to be a part of the team, right? There's your floor is really set, and you still got Dontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed, Bo Melton on a much smaller contract, and you can decide who's your number 2. And what we're doing is we're modeling the roster. This is exactly what we were talking about earlier. You can't pay every receiver in that room. You can definitely pay 1. You could possibly pay 2, right? So if you get ahead of the curve, you could still keep that cap number down, because the reality is that's the next issue we're going to be faced with the salary cap management, Jacob, is you're going to get to the point where these receivers, if they all continue to flourish and grow like we think they will, you're going to get to the point where you can't afford them all. But if you get out in front of it before they hit their peak performance, if you indeed think and know that dude's going to be the real deal, what you would probably have is between Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, one of those two signed for a very team-friendly deal because you did it 2 years early. And again, the cap hits don't matter till on down the road. And then you do the same thing with Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks. You go to those two, try to get a cap, and you can stay out ahead. You can keep 2 really good wide receivers while Goody and his scouting staff continues to just knock the draft out of the park and find the next Wicks, the next Reed, the next, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, completely. Cycling that roster is I really think it's a smart idea. You know, and we want to also mitigate the risk of, to talk about like upsetting the locker room dynamic. If you have 5 receivers and they're all looking to get money at some point within a 2 or 3 year span, you don't want to start, playing favorites and maybe, I don't know. I would be offended if I was one of the wide receivers that thought he was on another level as another guy. They end up offering him, you know what I'm saying, like a massive contract deal. And maybe they offer you the patented Packers, like, thanks for showing up kind of thing. But I think this is a great way to, like I said, mitigate that, because like you talked about, get them early, get to them before maybe the media gets in their head or their agent gets in their head that, hey, I deserve number 1 Justin Jefferson style money. Maybe just be like, dude, you want a steady paycheck at a team where it's comfortable for you, where you can trust your coaches, trust the organization to take care of you and all that kind of stuff. If anybody, I think Dobbs would be the one to take that team friendly deal. Yep. And maybe Watson would test free agency, but I could be completely wrong. I hope I am. And that just real quick on Dobbs, coach was talking about how he's got animal hands. He goes on to say, that's what I try to teach or tell all my receivers to have. It's a great example. Nice.
Love it, man. Love it. So we got Bill Huber with a really cool one here too. I'm going to try to get it out. It's nothing crazy, but just another shot from practice. Let me see if I can keep the volume down on you guys and get this pulled up. Bear with me just a second. Go ahead and hit a couple chats, Jacob. I see you got a bunch marked there, man.
Yeah, just the arm of Jordan. That's a great name. He says, "Oh, Romeo, we're out there, Romeo Dobbs. We know you and Jordan are in tune, and us Packer fans, we will see you in the end zone soon." He's a poet, and he didn't even know it. That's beautiful.
He didn't mean to rhyme, but he does it all the time. So here's the shot. That's a pretty cool, almost like field level angle from Bill Huber.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, pretty sweet, man. It looks like the weather's absolutely perfect out there. Like I said, I know Jen's in the house as well, so that's pretty cool.
I see Tom moving around there. So is it basically he's going through kind of any sort of non-contact drill he's running through?
That's what I think is going on there. They're working on snap counts, things like that, rhythm, just walk through stuff. I think they're going to play it safe. I was really, really vocal about, listen, I don't need him taking a meaningful snap until like the last week of preseason. You know what I'm saying? That get him in pads, then whatever. You want him to be pad ready, obviously, but let the young guys, man, let them get some snaps. Tom is the least of my worries at that offensive line. Tom and Elton Jenkins, I feel like you could sit them all training camp and they're going to be fine. And I know some old school fans don't want to hear that, but that's really how I see it. If you guys would take a quick second, hit that like button for us. Feel free to share, sub to the channel. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We're going to try to do this as much as we can this summer, especially on the weekends when there's camp practices. We're going to be covering the team on a daily basis, and we really appreciate y'all hanging out with us, man. We got a bunch of people in here watching it. It means the world to us. Go ahead, Jake. What were you going to say, man?
Oh, nothing. I was going to hit on, actually real quick. What are your thoughts? I am more comfortable with Walker than I think maybe I should be. And I don't know, is that a stupid, you know what I'm saying though? Cause I really am not worried about the left tackle position with a guy that's a 7th round, second-year starter, and I feel like maybe I should be, but I for whatever reason, I feel comfortable there. Am I stupid? Am I smoking the Peruvian parsley or what?
I keep going round and around about that, man. I really do. And what I mean by that is like, it's you should always be looking to upgrade or find the next great player at those tier 1 positions of importance. It's why Brian Gutekunst in his first year as general manager went out and signed both Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith. I don't think the plan was to sign them both. I think the plan was to be aggressive with both, and if they both sign, awesome. Worst case scenario, you get one, and then you get your 3 tech to go along with that edge, right? That's kind of how I think they were looking at that. But yeah, when it comes to Rasheed Walker, that's a tier 1 position of importance at left tackle. I've been one. It's like, I think we can do better. I think we can. It doesn't mean you cut him. It doesn't mean, if anything, you add competition to the room. Well, lo and behold, what did we do in the draft? You went out and you got Jordan Morgan, a true left tackle. Now he's playing at right guard for the most part, but still, it's important to understand that was kind of their game plan. Jay, I don't think you're off base there at all, dude. At all.
Okay. Just a quick update. It says, So Turtles says that I'm assuming Andy Herman tweeted out that starters are here. So here we go with the 11 on 11s. Woohoo!
Go. I've actually got a screen grab. That's perfect. Perfect timing, Turtles. Appreciate that, buddy. We can get this screen grab. Yeah, go ahead, man. So here is the starters in the team drills today. Okay, this is how it's lined up. Keep in mind, there's been a heavy rotation. There'll probably continue to be a fairly heavy rotation through practices throughout the summer. But now that the pads are on, things get a little more serious, right? I feel like this is probably a pretty good indication of those guys who are the front runners. It doesn't mean that draft picks won't beat guys out, right? But here are the starters in team. This is according to Andy Herman at Andy Herman NFL on Twitter, who's live there at practice. Said Jordan Love at quarterback, Josh Jacobs at running back, wide receiver Romeo Doubs, and Dontavian Wicks. Now, again, Jaden Reed got a little bit of a toe injury. He was back yesterday. I'm not suggesting that Wicks is ahead of Reed on the depth chart, okay? But it says a lot that they threw Wicks out there. Luke Musgrave and Ben Sims at tight end. So obviously Tucker Kraft has still got the pec injury. He should be just a couple of weeks behind Tom. So I would expect there'd be a pretty good possibility that Tucker Kraft will be doing things that Zach Tom's doing right now here in probably a week and a half, probably just a week now, because it's been about a week since Tom was activated, right? We've been through one full week of practice. It doesn't mean that Kraft's going to come out there and play, full contact, but he's going to get out there and start to do stuff like Zach Tom did, if indeed he heals the same way that Zach Tom did. And we know every human being heals a little bit different, some quicker than others, right? So, but right now they're showing a 12 personnel coming out. Keep in mind, the Packers ran more 12 personnel than any other team in the National Football League last year, okay? So they come out in teams drills, first day of camp with pads, and lo and behold, what do we got? We got 12 personnel. Here's the offensive line and how it's set. Keep in mind, Zach Tom is doing the walkthrough stuff, but he's not going to do the padded team drills. Left tackle, Rasheed Walker. Left guard, Sean Ryan. We keep seeing that, right? Elton Jenkins at center. I think, is Josh Myers out? I don't know if you're back, Jacob, but we need to find out. Somebody in the chat.
Still on one of those personal days, I believe.
Okay. So it wasn't just yesterday. He's still gone. Okay, cool. So Elton Jenkins at center, filling in, not Jenkins, but Jenkins filling in for Josh Myers. Right guard, once again, you're seeing Jordan Morgan, and then at right tackle for Zach Tom, they keep putting Telford in there. Jake, it looks like Kadeem Telford might be your backup right tackle. Poor Andre Dillard got boat raced by Rashawn Gary, and they said, all right, that's enough of that. Now, it's early in camp. That could change. But the two things that stick out the most to me here, Jacob, aside from Josh Myers missing for personal reason, is Sean Ryan at left guard, Jordan Morgan at right guard. That seems to be happening every day, don't it?
Yeah, I agree. That's I don't know if it's encouraging or if it's just the fact that that's all they can go with right now. But I think also Kadeem Telford, that's a little surprising, but I like it because I know that they did have high hopes for him last year, right? And they were kind of stashing him away, but didn't he end up getting hurt at some point?
Who's that?
Kadeem Telford.
Yeah, I think both he and the other guy too, the big dude that they got from Buffalo.
Caleb Jones.
No, Buffalo and Indy, the one they brung in. What was his name?
Yeah.
Big old boy. Caleb's a big boy too, don't get me wrong. But
Man, I can't remember his name, but yeah, he's huge. He was
Right,
another
yeah.
guy that was like 6'8" or whatever.
Don't know his name, but he's big. I was kind of thinking, somebody help me out in the chat. Who are we talking about? The other tackle? I don't have the roster. What the hell am I doing?
Tenuta. Yeah, Luke Tenuta.
There it is, Luke Tenuta. I was going to say I got the depth chart here too if we need to hit it. I just didn't want to pull this off the screen just yet. So, yeah, Luke Tenuta I kind of felt like would be like the front runner because they seem to think pretty highly of him when they signed him. But Telford getting – and, here's the other thing too. Early in camp, sometimes you put people out there because you might think, I don't think he's going to make the roster. I don't think he's going to make the practice squad. You put him out there and give him a chance to, convince you that he deserves it. And then if you see what you thought you were going to see, all right, you move on. You would rather be trying people like that early in camp than the last week of camp, right? And messing up some continuity once you start to kind of zero in on what the offensive line truly is going to be. But again, that's your offense. Jordan Love at quarterback, Josh Jacobs at running back. They were in 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends, which means 2 wide receivers. Those 2 wide receivers were Romeo Dobbs and Dontavian Wicks. The 2 tight ends were Luke Musgrave and Ben Sims. And then from left to right was Rasheed Walker, Sean Ryan, Elton Jenkins, Jordan Morgan, and Kadeem Telford. Now, on to the defensive side of the ball, unless you got something else you want to add to the offense, Jake.
No, that sounds good to me.
All right. So on the defensive side of the ball, it looks like obviously we were in a 12 personnel on offense, so that triggers our base 4-3, the new 4-3 look, as opposed to the 34 jam. Now there's a multitude of 4-3 fronts that they can show. We'll talk about that as we get deeper into camp and especially into the season when we start breaking down tape. But you've got from left to right, from the defense's perspective, Rashawn Gary, TJ Slayton, Kenny Clark, and Preston Smith. You're seeing TJ Slayton kind of seems to be the front runner alongside Kenny Clark, although it could be the same thing applying, Jacob, to Kadeem Telford. Maybe they're trying to go, let's give him an opportunity. All right, that's what we seen last year. Now let's roll with Devontae Wyatt. You know what I'm saying? It could be something like that. So what do you think about that defensive front there, man? TJ Slayton and Kenny Clark? Because I think you and I both agree, you correct me if I'm wrong, we'd rather see Devontae Wyatt and or Carl Brooks out there, wouldn't we?
Yeah, logic tells us we should. My brain, I love TJ Slayton. I always have. I'm surprised he's still on the team, to be honest, and that he's actually getting first team reps. But I do think that they maybe see him as more of that, like, more, almost the big nose type. So this would be more like, obviously, in our more base packages, if it's on running situations. I think that, yeah, if there was any sort of pass rush situation, I definitely want Wyatt in there. And I guess, honestly, on any situation, I really want to see how Brooks is, because I do feel like he's such a well-rounded guy. We talked about how he's been on the radar for some people taking that second-year big leap. I really do think he will. And this is obviously very early and have to take this with a grain of salt and all that kind of stuff. But I love seeing Slayton out there, but I do think that by the end of the year, it's going to be more of a rotation between Wyatt and Brooks for sure.
Yeah, it makes sense. So what we're going to do here, we'll continue talking to defense here, but I'm just going to pull up Andy Herman's Twitter account because he's absolutely crushing it like he always does at camp. So at the linebacker position, you've got Isaiah McDuffie, Quay Walker, and Eric Wilson. So you've got Quay as the mic. McDuffie, it depends on, it's probably a balanced set. We like to run a lot of balanced looks out of the, like 2x2 sets out of the ace, out of the single back. So it's hard to tell which one would be the Sam or the Will right there. I kind of see McDuffie as a Sam more than Wilson, but who knows the way it was actually lined up, or if Coach Hafley actually puts extra emphasis on the Sam and the Will, his new scheme that he's going to be running here in Green Bay as opposed to Boston College or what he did at Ohio State years ago or what he even did in San Francisco. It could be a little different, a little shakeup. But that's the 3 linebackers on the field. The big thing that sticks out, Jacob, Edgerrin Cooper not on the field, although we did talk about before, the majority of the time the defense on the field is going to be your nickel defense because you're going to face 11 personnel more than any other personnel in the league. We talked about Green Bay ran the most 12 personnel in the entire National Football League. Even with that being said, we still ran more 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end, equaling 3 wide receivers. That will trigger your nickel 4-2-5. And in that case, in the past, what's been happening, when I say past here, the first week of training camp, you've had Edgerrin Cooper being the starting linebacker alongside Quay. So it seems like early on the vision is that's your base 4-3 and reserve Edgerrin Cooper to those sub packages, which are going to be in the majority of the time. Or maybe they're just looking at it like we want to work out of 12 personnel and we need to kind of get our base 4-3 down for these early rundowns. Does that make sense? And how do you feel about the linebacker there, man? I'm a big fan of McDuffie and Wilson personally.
Yeah, I definitely really am. Quick camp update because it's coming in hot. Ryan Wood just said first team period of first padded practice of camp, and we've got our first fight. Dontavian Wicks and Keyshawn Nixon going after each other after a rep. The scrum ensues, and he ends that with saying the piss is hot.
Oh, let's go. We'll drop this down for just a second, come back to it. Andy Herman has confirmed, Jacob, we have a scuffle. Nixon was very upset. Wicks involved too. Cooler heads prevail. So there you go. We'll see. We'll keep y'all posted on it. There's going to be
a respectful scrum. You know, we don't want them throwing helmets at each other like Myles Garrett and stuff. So
there's going to be a Money in the Bank match that stems out of this. You know what I'm saying? It'll be a WWE style here real soon. That's what happens, man. When you get wrestlers on the sideline for the first week of camp, man, things happen. You know. So
that's right. That's right.
All right, cornerback out of this base 4-3. Stokes and Jair Alexander. Eric Stokes and Jair Alexander. No big surprise there, right, Jacob? We think it's Stokes' job to lose. And obviously, first week of camp, I think it was the first practice, he just absolutely dominated. There was a practice a couple practices ago where he had, 2 interceptions in the same practice. So Stokes seems to be the front runner alongside Jair. What do you think of that?
I think that's awesome. It looks like today Jair's already got himself a day. So Turtle says Ja's almost had 2 picks. Ron says Ja dropped 1 sure interception and almost on another. So obviously we want to see him come down with some of them interceptions. That was a big thing that plagued us last year. But yeah, between it sounds like the whole defensive back has kind of had their field day with these 2 young quarterbacks. It sounds like there's been quite a few interceptions. So that's good, though. That's what we want to see. Also, it's nice seeing Bullard out there with McKinney. I don't know what that necessarily means. Obviously, we take all these first day alignments and depth charts with a massive grain of salt, but obviously you guys know how much I love my boy Javon Bullard, so it's nice to see him out there. Hopefully we see I want to see some of his tackling. You know, I know they're not doing full bore, you know, that kind of stuff, but I want to see how he kind of is adjusting to this high. You know, they always talk about how the NFL is so much faster. I want to see if it's not too fast for him, if he's actually how he reads the field, how he reacts, because that was the biggest thing when we watched him on tape, dude. He was that HMM, man. He was just flying around, making decisions fast, smooth and fast, baby.
So, yeah, McKinney and Bullard, that's what I'm rooting for there. Obviously, Evan Williams showed some flashes, though, for sure. So, yeah, I've got that one ready to go here. Check this out, Jacob. Andy Herman tweeted out. Who was it that posted that just now in the chat?
That was So Turtles.
Thank you, So Turtles. Appreciate it, buddy. Andy Herman tweeted out, Quay Walker makes a diving interception of Love. Love under pressure tried to loft the ball up to Musgrave, but he wasn't ready yet. Entire play was disjointed, and Quay made an awesome diving catch. Love 0 for 4 with a pick to start. Big surprise.
We should never assign him. This is the worst.
You see now why I was trying to prep everybody, because this happens in camp every single year, man, every year. So, but that's awesome for Quay, man, showing them ball skills. How many diving interceptions did Quay make last year? I don't remember any in camp or in the regular season, right? So just saying, when you have something happen for the first time, it makes you go, maybe stuff is different. Respect Orange, it says the sky is falling. Chicken Little in here. You know what I'm saying? So let's see if there's anything else right here. Javon Bullard and Edgerrin Cooper combined for a stop in the run game before the scuffle broke out. Nice play by the 2 rookies. So there, in that play there specifically, they were probably in nickel, in their nickel 4-2-5 because Cooper was on the field. But Javon Bullard and Edgerrin Cooper, 2 rookies making a stop. That's pretty sweet, man. So I got a pterodactyl in here, man. You seeing this stuff? I don't know what it is.
Nerd.
What happens is Mandy out these doors right here on the other side of this wall, these French doors open up, and she's got a botanical garden, no plants in which I asked for. Okay. There's literally plants galore out there. And she comes up here in the middle of the night, or when I'm usually up here uploading the podcast, and she walks out there and waters the plants, and all the gnats come in, so I'm in here, and then she walks away giggling, and I'm on live stream doing this the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, wanted to mention this too. Andre Dillard rotating in with the ones at right tackle, so they're giving him another look there, just to keep that in mind. So I'll continue to update this if you want to hit on the chat a little bit, Jacob. Anything in there going on, man?
Let's see here. I had a few more mixed in. It's just funny here. United Bates says Joe Barry's in the crowd wearing a fake mustache, and Fractal of God says he has a secret tunnel under the pitch with a periscope.
Secret tunnel. You ever seen Nacho Libre? Remember?
Oh yeah, it's been a while, but yeah. This was an interesting question from Deadfish that I thought sparked a good debate or a good conversation. He says, "How much does Love play in the preseason, and how many preseason games?" He says, "I'm thinking 10 each of the first 2 games. I'm assuming mean like 10 minutes or 10 snaps, maybe." I don't know how I feel about that right now because it sounds like he's a little rusty. He may be a little rusty, maybe needs a little extra time to get into the swing of things, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I could see us taking the Aaron Rodgers route and just not risking it, but we just paid that man. So
I hear there's trade rumors already swirling around Jordan Love.
yeah, we should go for 4. You kidding me, bum?
It is a great question, Deadfish. What are we going to do in that regard? You know, I understand the fans that say you need to be out there practicing. We need to get better. And the second that you start off the season with a slow start, what do we all say? I've been as guilty as anyone. Well, we didn't play any preseason games. Guess we didn't need them. We're all sarcastic, right? But we all know if Jordan Love gets injured in one of those 10 snaps, we're all going to be going, we shouldn't have played him, right? So it's tough. I don't know, man. I kind of like the old school thinking where you I think it's the first and second preseason game, play them the first quarter, then sit them. And then in that third or the final preseason game, it used to be the third preseason game was kind of a dress rehearsal. Yeah. And in the preseason game, they sat. So now that we've just got 3 preseason games, I would be cool with preseason game 1, play the first quarter, preseason game 2, play the first half. Don't even play the third preseason. Allow those lower end roster guys to try to win those spots, right? How do you feel, Jay? What do you think about that?
That's exactly how. Honestly, I might even be a little more conservative. I'd probably do like 2 or 3 series in the first game, and then have them do a quarter in the second game, and then just don't do any more. That's how I do it.
No. Makes sense. So Andy Herman tweeted out just a second ago, Emmanuel Wilson back out on the field and running hard, seemed fine. So I guess he got a little banged up. This one right here is exciting, Jacob. You're seeing it again already in camp. Andy Herman says, Carl Brooks with a would-be sack. Eason fired anyway and completes to Hicks downfield for a gain of about 15. So he cheated is what Andy Herman's saying. Should have been sacked. He fired it anyway. It looked like a 15-yard game when really would have been Carl Brooks. I wish we knew who Carl Brooks beat on that play. But, again, the pads are on now. Now when you get pressure with the pass rushers, it's legit. When the pads are off, it's hard to – you know what I mean? So, yeah, look at this. Temper's flaring again, it looks like. Temper flaring early. Mosby and Glover get tied up. Gary very upset with it afterwards and barking at LaFleur and the offense. An intense start to practice. I'm sure the offense is frustrated. They can't get anything going. So there you go. The offense is definitely struggling, which is pretty common like we talk about here. So I'll continue, like I said, to update this. Anything else you see, Jacob, in the chat or something, just fire it up on the screen.
Yeah, this is it's a good question, but it's kind of a generic one. But I don't think we've really dove into it as much as we should. It's the simple question of what is our weak link this year?
Ooh, man. That's a great question. Our weak link for me. Go ahead, Jacob. Go ahead.
It's gotta be interior offensive line. That's where my mind goes. Yeah.
Okay. It's funny. Mom went to interior defensive line.
Okay.
And people were going, what? What are you talking about? Again, the run defense last year, guys. Many people tried to write it off like, well, we were 2-gapping. We were not 2-gapping the entire year. There were many times that we had guys in the backfield and they couldn't bring the ball carrier down. We talked about with Kenny. Kenny Clark is hands down our best defensive lineman. We would all agree with that. Again, broken/missed tackle percentage, 10.2%. That was 141st amongst interior defensive linemen. I know that Devontae Wyatt's was very similar. There was many times he got into the backfield when we were 1-gapping, not 2-gapping, 1-gapping, and couldn't get the ball carrier. Hopefully all that changes with Ogabasi and some of the stack backers playing behind them, maybe give them a little reassurance like, hey, I don't have to be as aggressive and make the play, because before, not only are your linemen 2-gapping, but your linebackers were also having to read that 2-gap. You have to be on the same page. So that's the first thing that comes to mind for me. But also schematically, and I know people don't want to hear this, there's no perfect defense in the National Football League. If you choose to take one thing away, you're giving up something else. That's how it works. It's a numbers game. So if we're going to be playing more man coverage, and I think we would all agree we are going to be playing more man coverage, you're going to have guys get beat deep. It's going to happen. You know, last year, what was the thing that drives everybody crazy? They were constantly making catches in front of us, right? And then if Darnell Savage didn't miss the tackle, you would tackle the ball carrier and they would get a first down. And it was mine, but it would drive you crazy. Well, this year, what you're going to have if you're playing more aggressive, think to the Giants game. Everybody, not everybody, some people like to pretend like that loss to the Giants there in the fourth quarter, that it was just we were playing too soft. There was one play where Carrington Valentine did not get the signal from the sideline and he played soft. Outside of that, do you know the play that set up the game-winning field goal? We were playing press in the slot with Keyshawn Nixon. He got shook and burned on a wheel route, and they're automatically in chip shot range. That's something that the Hafley defense, I'm really excited to see it. But I'm not going to convince myself that all of our problems are going to be fixed, because the reality is you're probably going to be more vulnerable to explosive plays unless you can get the same results out of our roster that like Robert Saleh does when they play a little more aggressive. But again, we broke down Robert Saleh's defense, which we think is a pretty good template for what Jeff Hafley's defense may or may not be. If that is the case, Robert Saleh likes to get pressure with 4 and leave 7 in coverage. So I just don't want us to get too aggressive on defense. That's just me personally. So that kind of a long-winded answer, but that's the thing that probably worries me the most is being vulnerable to explosive plays. Why do you play a 34 jam? Because the number one explosive play in the running game in the NFL is outside zone. The 34 jam with the wide 9 and a 5-man front is designed to stop the wide zone, and it did. The problem was we were missing tackles up the middle on the interior defensive lineman, and we were getting gashed in the A and B gaps. So those two things is the first thing that comes to mind for me. Hopefully we look up in week 3 of the season and go, not an issue, you know?
Yeah. Not only were we missing tackles at the defensive line, then we're also missing tackles in the safety room, making it look like explosive plays, which makes it look even worse. So
yeah,
there's a lot of things that fell off. A lot of things.
Yeah, definitely. Andy Herman tweets out just a minute ago, Love well wide of Wicks on a quick out. That's a bread and butter throw for Love. You can tell he's probably pressing a bit and just working off some rust. He's 1 for 8 for 3 yards and a pick right now. Goes on to say, I'm so glad that we said what we said at the beginning.
That's right.
I'm telling you, man, this happens every year. You can predict it every year. I remember, like I said, because you know how I remember it and why I remember it? Because like 6-7 years ago, Aaron Rodgers was throwing interceptions at camp, and I'm going, what is going on? This isn't Aaron Rodgers. And then lo and behold, he goes on to have like an MVP type season. I'm going, why was I even worried about the camp? Because they are, man. They're pushing the envelope a little bit. Here we go. Andy Herman says, Love throws high for Wicks, incomplete. Had him open on a check down short. Javon Bullard with teaching tape coverage in the slot on Christian Watson for a pass breakup. Awesome play by the rookie. Stokes and Cooper combined for a quick stop of Dillon on the next play. Hey, dude. Stokes putting his head in there. Let's go. But Javon Bullard, man, teaching tape coverage. Andy Herman watches a boatload of tape, guys. He has his own grading system where he grades the Packers players, right? So he knows he has watched a ton of football. When he says Javon Bullard with teaching tape and coverage in the slot on Christian Watson for a pass breakup, think of the height advantage that Christian Watson has on Javon Bullard, you know? So pretty cool. So 2 nuggets there. Christian Watson playing out of the slot a bit, and Javon Bullard seems to be the real deal. Jacob, I think we got our safety alongside X, man. I really do.
I hope so.
First padded practice.
Yes. Sell it. Buy the jersey, put it on the wall, baby.
Exactly. I don't know how long practice is going to go. We'll probably wrap up here soon. Andy Herman tweets out, per Mike Clemens, NFL, Aaron Mosby had a pick of Clifford with the 2s, another pick for number 6. So Clifford is struggling. That is Brett Favre 2.0. So
yeah,
there you go. All right, cool. Look at A in the chat. I love the. I'm sorry, Jay. I didn't mean to. Hope you didn't lose that. Bro.
No, you're fine.
Look at the profile. First of all, A. That's the name. Just A. It's season over. Go ahead. What were you going to hit, Jake?
Just a nice comment from Crossfire that said, thanks for training camp coverage, guys. I swore off social media a few years ago. That's smart. And now I just listen to pads and whatnot. This is good stuff, though. Appreciate it.
Listen to pods and whatnot. Yeah. Appreciate it, man. Yeah. Thank you for hanging out with us, too.
Also, some this is what you do. You get yourself a few lizards, eat them flies. Once all them flies are gone, you get yourself a few snakes, take care of them lizards. Then all you need is a mongoose or two.
Need a lion.
Yeah.
To finish everything off. It's hilarious. Jacob, I know you can answer this question for me. Can you turn me on to a good iguana salesman? I know you got a couple on the black market, right?
I deal with only the finest iguana salesmen. All right. Top shelf.
Top shelf. That's
REI
what
makes he makes
it.
a good point about how he likes the chippiness because he says get used to it, boys. Them Eagles are going to show up with a chippy D, and I think that's a great point. And it's really it's so Turtle says the same thing. He says the defense is making so much noise. Let's go. This is different than what we're used to as far as any other defense going in. I'm excited. I'm going to buy into it. I'm bought into the hype right now.
Definitely. I like what Fractal of God said. He said, Love's still wobbly after nailing his contract. He'll calm down and be fine. Still a little chinged up. Ain't that what Brett said?
Sure.
So let's take one final look here real quick. Andy Herman, Grant DuBose just did a fantastic job covering a punt. I know not the most exciting tweet, but he did a great job on it. It might take special teams for one of those wide receivers to crack into that room, bro, because it is deep, isn't it?
Yeah. It's deeper than never mind. It's deep.
Easy killer. Easy killer. All right, man. I really don't want to wrap up here. We got almost 500 people watching live. If you guys would take a quick second, hit that like button for us, we greatly appreciate it. Let me check the GPS, see where Mandy's at, because when she pulls within a mile of the driveway, these dogs are going to go crazy. I'm just telling you, they know when she's close. So I think we got a little bit of time. Anything else you want to hit on, Jacob? I'm going to glance around Twitter and see if anybody else has got any updates that we may or may not have missed as well, man.
I mean, right here, Respect to Oranges, the way he thinks how we should handle the preseason, he says at least a quarter of the first game, then a series, and then maybe try a 2-minute drill and then rest in the last. I think that still thinks that, well, I mean, yeah, I could see that breaking it down on a 3-game stretch there, but that's kind of how I do it. I'd be super, super careful. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little too conservative there, but also some other news from Fractal God. He says that tempers flare when Barry is spotted and asked to leave. At least we got him out of there. Right?
I love it. We got Joe Barry still in the news. I absolutely love it. Paul Brettel tweeted out one example. I'm sorry. His earlier tweet says, what does ICYMI mean?
In case you missed it.
Perfect. Jacob, you were, man, you here. As a matter of fact, I think it was Coach Basace that was talking about you the other day.
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
There you go. So Paul Brettel tweeted out 4 practices in, and the Packers are rotating often at safety. An opportunity to evaluate each player, but also an opportunity to get everyone comfortable playing with each other at a position where they're probably not, is what I'm sure it said. And then he quote tweeted that and said, one example of this is McKinney showing blitz, drops back into coverage over the middle at the snap, takes away throwing lane, and force Love to go to the flat. So you're seeing not technically a fire zone blitz, but the same principle. Show blitz in a gap, drop out. You're sugaring that blitz and then dropping into a middle zone. Sound like kind of a rat coverage there, if you will. So kind of cool there. I mean, they're going to get kind of exotic with some of those looks. And it does a multitude of things. You're deceiving the quarterback by taking away a throwing lane that he thought was there when indeed it wasn't, because you were sugaring. But also when you sugar, whether it's the A or the B gap or even off the edge, they have to set the protection to account for you. They can't just have 2 free runners. You can have 1 free runner. And when you have 1 free runner, essentially what that does is the quarterback sets the protection, the center helps, and then you got 1 free runner. The quarterback knows that free runner's on me. Everyone else is accounted for. If that guy gets through, I got to make him miss or hit my hot in time that he doesn't reach me, because they've got a +1 on the hat count, right? When you do that and you show blitz, now you reset the protection. If you guess wrong on which one's the free runner, that dude drops out. You've got one offensive lineman sitting there with his finger in his rear end, doesn't know what to do, right? And then you've got another guy that's a free runner. So you essentially gain 2 hat counts, +2 on the hat count, just by manipulating the pass protection, if that makes sense. So,
and in the same time, don't you also disrupt the flow of the play? Because even that split second that the quarterback has to say, oh, crap, he's covering now, that's a less time that he had to reach his progressions. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, no doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. It's a great point. Let me.
Aaron Rodgers has a quick cool chat. He says, "Been listening while making pancakes. Just came across your channel and been enjoying your live streams. Thank you, Aaron Rodgers. I knew you'd come around."
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. You're supposed to be in camp today, but we appreciate you swinging by. Listen, pancakes, man. I am all about pancakes.
I'm so hungry right now. I'm gonna eat. I don't know. That sounds good. I'm gonna smash some pancakes.
Pancakes are good. Let me hop over to Wes Hodkiewicz real quick and see what he's got going on. Then we'll wrap this big bear up since
Sure.
Jacob's getting hungry. We'll blame Jacob since he's hungry.
Coach is saying that he wants to find a way to keep DeBose on the 53. I know Tim would love that.
Tim
I would
would.
love it in theory. I just don't know how we do it. Poor Wes.
I love it, man. I love that he pinned that tweet too. Wes Hodkiewicz said, "Cover sports." They said it'll be fun. They said. So there you go. All right, he said Javon Bullard deflects a slant from Watson. So we're getting a little more information. When he was covering him in the slot, it must have been a slant. So it wasn't like a hot advantage type thing, but obviously quick enough to deflect that. Really, really cool. Look at this. Surprise, surprise. He says very vocal, animated Jair today. So Jair's in rare form. Wes Hodkiewicz said pressure on Love and some apparent miscommunication leads to a diving Quay Walker interception and touch pass. So I think we're up to date on everything that's pretty much happened at practice. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. If you guys would take a quick second, hit that like button for us. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. Also, if you're watching on X, we've got like 340 people on X. Feel free to click on my profile. You'll see a YouTube link there. Click on that YouTube link. That'll send you over to our YouTube channel. Subscribe there. You can hit the bell icon and get notified every time we go live. We go live daily. So you will always see us going live. On the weekends, we try to go live multiple times. So
Turtles is saying check a Boz tweet before we go.
All right, let me go find it. Jacob, say something smart while I look at it.
Let's see here. Well, everybody's just being real nice in the chat. We haven't seen Eric in a while, which makes me wonder, is he okay? Or him and Affam wasn't here for the second stream. I'm a little worried about him. But and then Coach real quick was talking about how there's a speed advantage over Bullard. He must be talking about with Watson. That's why I guess would make it even more impressive if he's covering him on a slant. But yeah.
Let's see. Okay, I'm assuming he's talking about this interception. Let's pull this up real quick. This Baz quote tweeted Andy Herman about the diving interception. So we've actually got a clip of the diving interception. Let's see this. It's gonna be sweet. Gonna be awesome. We can do this with sound too, boys. Let's hit it here real quick.
Oh, I see.
Let's go. All right. Watch it again. We'll let it loop a couple times here.
Is that Enigbare on the end? I think so.
Actually McDuffie, I think. Could be wrong though. Oh yeah, nice play by Quay. Let's go, dude. Let's go. Again, somewhat of a fluke of a play, but still having the wherewithal to make a play on that ball. Look at that front they're showing. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so it's a 4, man. All right. Looked like they were in an under. Love it, man. Love it. Look at Stokes all fired up running on the field.
I was gonna say you can tell the defense is fired up, man.
He looks healthy, man. Stokes really does look healthy, and it sounds like he's having no problem covering deep too. So Randy Cleaver's in the chat. New defensive attitude. Go Pack, go. You could tell, man. And here's what's cool. It's got a lot of fire under the offense, right? We talked about Davante Adams and Jair Alexander. I don't think it's any coincidence that Jair Alexander's play has slacked off a little bit since we lost Tay, because he was going up against Tay every single day in training camp. I know we would move Tay around from flyer to slot, X and Z, but most of the time they were trying to get Jair Alexander matched up on Davante Adams, man. That's iron sharpens iron, dude. Same thing here, right? So definitely a mistake by Love there for sure, though. But Jacob, parting thoughts, brother. We'll wrap this thing up. We're at 1:12. I got emotional there. So
sorry. No, man, it's just been fun. I'm so excited that real football is back. Obviously, we would have loved to see Love in the offense take some crazy big leap step, but we were realistic with you guys. We told you what to expect, and we got exactly what we were expecting. Love's a little rusty. The offense is going to need some time to gel. The defense is always usually flying around at this time of year, but I think there is something to be said. It's different. The attitude is completely different. The energy is different. So I'm just excited to go on and cover some more of this stuff. We'll have more tonight, right, Clayton? Going live again at 7.
Yeah,
So,
we're going live at 7 p.m. Central Time. So everybody who's watching, you can hear our voice right now. Go ahead and hit that sub. Hit the bell icon. We'll be back live tonight, 7 p.m. Central. And we'll kind of be a little more organized, obviously, with what happened in practice. And we want to get your all's takes for sure, man.
Yeah, and thanks to guys like So Turtles and everybody in the chat that's given us information and chatting with us, because otherwise this would have been a fluke. We were not sure how this was going to go, so it went pretty good, I think.
Yeah, no. It was probably horrible, but it wasn't because of the chat. They did excellent, right? It was us that screwed it up. I guarantee it. But no, seriously, the chat, it's absolutely awesome. We got so many people, so many educated Packer fans in there that are sharing info in real time and all that good stuff, man. It's what makes this thing go around. And love the fact that Aaron Rodgers is also a Yankee fan. Salute, sir. I'm a Yankee fan as well. So
he's a confusing man. Finally, though, last update on Barry. He was last seen with a length of rope and a grappling hook, but I don't think he's using the slip roof, so he should be fine.
That's a great point. Great point.
Get right through. Get right on through.
All right. With that being said, you had to end it like that, Jacob. I'll tell you.
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
Unbelievable. All right. We're out, guys. We'll see you tonight, 7 p.m. Central. We'll give you a recap of everything that happened. Who knows? We might have more details on I almost said Aaron Rodgers, on the Jordan Love contract to see how the cap allocation falls into place. But we got a real good idea of how everything's shaping up. Probably, like we said earlier, probably going to be somewhere to the tune of $20 to $22 million cap hit for this year. So that raises slightly. It's cool to get a little bit of that off the books. Obviously, Kenny Clark with his new extension, his cap number dropped down just a touch. We're going to be fine salary cap wise. The main thing on the horizon, in my opinion, is this wide receiver room. You got to be ready to model out, like we talked about at the top of the show, model out exactly what you want the receiver room to be moving forward so you don't break the bank trying to pay everyone, as opposed to just continuing to do what the Packers always do with their blueprint of building a championship caliber team. So with that being said, thanks everybody for hanging out. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. We'll see you at 7 p.m. Central. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack Go.